Hello, I'm David.
Hi, I'm Julie.
Welcome to our first video in a series of 5 videos on the top 50 games of 2022. We actually played 53 games, and so 3 of the games that we played did not make our list. So we're going to start with that first, and then we're going to talk about the games that we played that are ranked from 50 to 41.
Okay.
Now, each of these games we played about 2 to 3 times each on average. Some we played a lot more. So what's your number 53, the game that you don't want to see ever again?
I don't want to see again. That would be Disney Space Mountain.
Okay, so Disney Space Mountain is a push your luck race game where you're trying to complete those mission cards there you see on the left and right, and you only have so much fuel there, as you see on that tracker, and you have your ships that have to go from location to location. And there will dice that you'll roll that you will use. So why didn't you like this game?
Well, I found it to be a very frustrating push-your-luck game. I found that the dice movements can be really difficult to figure out how the heck to use them. And there's not much player interaction. And for me, that makes it not a fun game.
Okay. So my number 53 is United States Post Office game, which is the Great American Mail Race game. So let me bring up the video here.
I like that, honey.
So here you're going to be drafting these cards to go from location to location on the board there, delivering packages and mail. And you got to go from city to city. And it's a race game because as soon as you complete so many, as soon as the deck runs out, the game's over. Now the reason why I have a problem with this game is that it's half-baked. It's not finished. The designer even commented on Board Game Geek, oh, we're playtesting new Player 2 rules and new Player 4 rules. That's because in the Player 2 version, you're more likely to complete all the things there that you're stamping. And that's how you get points. Delivering letters, parcels, postcards, and there's some bonus stuff. In a 2-player game, you're likely to complete them all unless you get unlucky. So it's not a good game that you're only going to lose if you get unlucky. And if you complete that card, if both players complete the card, I don't remember if there was tie-breaking rules.
I don't remember.
So it was a neat idea, but poorly executed. It was not finished, and it has cheap components.
Yeah.
So
I
what
agree
is
with that
your
one.
number 52?
My number 52 is Word Heist.
Word Heist. All right, let me get that ready here.
Oh, okay.
So Word Heist is a word game. We have only so many consonants and vowels that you'll use over 3 rounds, and you have to keep track of what words you've used. You cannot reuse words. So if you use the word gummy, you could use the M more than once, for instance. No one else could use gummy again on the next 2 rounds. And so you're trying to score the most points after 3 rounds. The scoring, the way it works though, is that you give clues with those red chips as to what letters you used. So you're going to come up with a word, and you're going to try to guess the word that your opponents came up with. And the more clues you give them, so for instance, I'd have to put 2 red chips on gummy, on the M for gummy, which would clue Julie that I spelled something with 2 M's. So why didn't you like this game?
Well, I think I know you need to be able to think fast in this game. And I struggle to make words, and which makes this hard. And it's hard for me to be competitive, especially with this one here. I mean, he's got a PhD. So I think it's a cool theme. I do. It's just, you need to have a strong vocabulary, and I'm not going to lie, my brain hurts after playing it.
Okay. So you're not a fan of that game because of the competitiveness issue.
Yes.
All right, so ready? We do have a match here, and we're going to match on all. I mean, both of us played the same games. My number 52 is Disney Space Mountain as well. So I disliked USPS more than Space Mountain.
Yeah, you did.
So I'm going to put the Space Mountain video on again, so you have something to look at while I'm yapping here. So I've already explained what it's about, but the reason why I didn't care for it, it's repetitive. That's the first thing. It has very little player interaction. and very little meaningful decision making, because when you're using the dice, you're pretty much stuck with what you got to use. And then there's some rulebook comprehensibility issues, and there's some 3D ports, some cutouts that you put together and you put on the board, which is not shown on there. They're useless because your ships will go underneath them, and it's too hard to get. And if you go to the same location, it's already hard enough to put ships that go to the same location, let alone underneath a cardboard spaceport. It's just not a well-designed game, and it's people who try to play it have difficulty learning it. I could play this again with somebody younger if they really want to, but it's not something we're probably going to keep in our collection.
I'm okay with that.
Right. So what is your number 51?
50? One is American Psycho.
American Psycho, which is based on the movie. Let me explain it first.
Yep.
So this is a trick-taking game, which uses the theme from the movie. You have an A and B side, and you can you're going to win if you have the least amount of points. Or is it the most points? I'm trying to remember which way it was.
I don't remember.
But it's a point scoring game. And it's a pasted on theme in terms of, because it's a trick-taking game. So why didn't you like this game?
Well, I didn't like it because it was confusing. I think it's a yucky theme. It's disturbing art, very disturbing art. And it just takes way too long to play with two players. And when we first did the playthrough of it, I did rank it as 6. But when I went back and thought about it more, I changed it to a 3.
Changed it to a 3? Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it is. Yeah, I think it is trying to get the most points. There's different ways to score points, though.
Right. Yeah, yeah.
Or is it the least points? I'm doubting myself now.
I don't know.
Well,
we're not going to ever play it again, so it doesn't matter.
Well, it may make my list, so I may play it again. You're indicating that you don't want to play it again.
I don't want to play it again. I don't even really like watching the movie all that much either.
Right.
So
as fans of the movie, but you have a problem with
yeah.
You're not a fan of the movie that much,
No.
let alone the game.
No.
All right, so my number 51 is Zombie Kittens.
Ooh.
So let's go to that. Now this is a standalone, but also can be combined with Exploding Kittens. And it has a zombie theme. Now the problem with it is the new rules for the game you cannot use them in a 2-player game. So this should have been designated a 3 or more player game.
Oh.
Because the way it works is that if you explode, you become a zombie. And you're not out of the game. You can be brought back to life when somebody else plays their I forget what card they play to avoid being exploded that will bring somebody back to life. Maybe it's the zombie kitten one there. I'm sure the game works okay with 3 or more players, but because we only typically, not only, but we play a lot of our games just 2 players, this game does not work as a 2-player game. You're only using about a third of the deck. You take out a lot of the cards when it's 2 players, so you're not getting much value out of it. And the new rules don't come into play. So just as a 2-player game, I don't see us ever playing this again.
Yeah.
Now, could we combine it or play it as a 3 or more player game? Possibly. But since we usually play games together, this is why I put it at number 51.
We could teach Duchess how to play with us and get 3 players.
Teach the dog, huh?
But she'd probably eat them because they're cats.
All right, so those are the 3 games that we're not likely to play again or maybe go in the sell pile. Now, Zombie Kittens, if we play Exploding Kittens with 3 or more players, yeah, we'll probably play it. But with 2 players, there's no point. They really should have just marketed it as 3 or more players, but they were probably afraid of losing sales, and that's why they didn't do that.
Okay.
All right, so now we're going to get to our number 50.
Here we
So
go.
out of the 53 games we played, this is a game that Julie ranked 50 out of 53. So what do you rank? Which game is it?
Storm Chasers.
Storm Chasers. So you actually are willing to play this again. That's pretty interesting.
It has to be I have to be so in the mood for this.
Okay, let me explain it first. So this is
okay.
a real-time game, similar to the Temple game and other games where you're trying to roll dice as fast as possible. The difference is between this and others, this is not cooperative. It is a take that game. So what's unique about it is you see the spinning top there. As it's spinning around, you have to stop play. You can't. I mean, I can keep. So one person's a storm, and one person is trying to get their scientific vehicles to get complete cards. And as it's spinning, I can keep on rolling, but when it lands, it can slow me down. So right now, I'm the one that's trying to complete cards, and Julie's the storm. And in a 3 or 4 player game would rotate. So it is a take that real-time game. So why didn't you like this one?
Well, you said it right in the thing. It's a real-time game, and I am not a fan of real-time games. I did give this a shot, but it's just way too chaotic for me. Very frustrating. And I just, if I could put it at like 51.5, I would have. But
let me ask this: why didn't you rank? It sounds to me that you might play American Psycho again over this.
No, I think what I liked about this is it has dice. I mean, I do like dice. And I think it's a cool theme. I think it's kind of interesting how a storm can do things. It's just trying to figure out real time how to move things at once. It's just very chaotic. But I did like the pieces. I like the dice. So that's why I would put it above. It does have
quality components, that's for sure.
That's why I would put it above.
By the way, the game wasn't called Temple, it's called Escape. So Escape's a cooperative, and this is a competitive version of that. So that's why it made your number 50. Is it's not cooperative.
Right.
It's competitive.
And what is your 50, sir?
Well, mine is Ticket to Ride Ghost Train. So let me bring it up here.
Wow, okay.
Now, it is a children's game, but it is a children's implementation of the adult version. But here's the thing. There's only 2 years difference. This is 6 and up. And Ticket to Ride is ages 8 and up.
Oh.
And the reason why I put this at 50 is because it needs a variant. Thematically, it doesn't quite work. It should be that when you go from location to location, you get trick or treat. I talk about it in the video. Mm-hmm. And to me, cognitively, it's more difficult for children to keep track of multiple routes than it is for them to draw a card. So it removes the idea of drawing cards to complete routes. You just place, you draw cards, if I remember. Mm-hmm. And you don't get to choose what cards you get to. You don't get to choose if you're at the green or yellow. You just draw.
Right.
Personally, it should be the other way around. You let kids choose what cards you want. Just like in regular Ticket to Ride, you have the 5 cards up, and you get to choose what you want. But I would allow it to be open-ended, where they can pick any route they want to complete.
Yeah. I get that.
Because once a child is having to focus on 2 routes, they can get confused.
Sure.
1 route would be fine. And if you make it open-ended, where they can complete any route they want, and then they're just looking at colors, then that would be a 6 and up game.
Yeah.
But the way it is right now, it really is not much different than regular Ticket to Ride. So you might as well play regular Ticket to Ride.
That's true.
And then it misses the theme by not doing the trick or treat aspect. And I talk about using the pieces from Quacks of Quindelenburg to that when you go to a location, you draw from the bag, and you can get goodies, and they can be worth different points.
No, I like that.
So take a look at that video, and that's why it's number 50, because I think it kind of fails as a children's game.
That's a good point.
So what's your number 49?
Well, my 49 was on David's not so good list, which is the United States Postal Service, The Great American Race Game.
So you would play this again? Huh?
I think I would, yeah. It is, he's already explained what it is, so I'm just going to jump right in here. It is a tedious game in a sense that you are just kind of going around and, I don't know, the tediousness isn't fun. But I think the theme is interesting because, you kind of wonder, how does the mail get from one place to the other? I think that's a kind of cool aspect. I really love the retro look of it. I like the colors. I like the pieces, the little
You like
mail
the stamp?
cards. I do like the stamp.
I don't like the stamp. I didn't mention that in my review, but I didn't care for
I
the
had
stamp.
fun with the stamp. It was fun trying to make sure I got it on there. And
Well, that's the problem. It frustrated me because I couldn't line it up.
there you go. The only other thing I didn't really like is that it does play way too long for 2 players.
Well, again, they're talking about revising it.
Yeah.
So, but you still have it on your list as something you would play again.
I would.
only play it again if we don't end up selling it.
Okay.
If they come out with revised rules.
All right. That's fair. What about you? What's your 49, sir?
My 49.
Yes.
My 49 is Storm Chasers.
Really?
Yes. Now I think this game would work great with the right group.
Like a party group?
No.
Oh.
With competitive players.
Yeah.
And if you have teams. I could see playing this with you teaming up with somebody else, and then you'd be less frustrated for you. But with the right group, who's not afraid to play a real-time competitive game, like I mentioned, we'll play Escape and a Project Elite, which are cooperative. But the fact that, Julie's having trouble doing the top there. It's better if it spins for a while than the way it fell over.
And I practiced a lot, you guys.
Well, actually, it's better that it doesn't spin a while. So actually messing up kind of is better for you. So I don't mind this game. I think it's quality. You just got to be in the mood for a competitive real-time game. And it's with the right group, I'm sure it's great.
Yeah.
And because I know that you can't be competitive with it, we're not likely to play it much.
Probably not.
But design-wise, it's solid.
Yeah.
It's a solid game. So what is your number 48?
Meeples and Monsters.
Okay, so let me find it here.
Okay, honey.
It is. Did you even say it in the proper order there?
Yeah, number 48, Meeples and Monsters.
Okay, I'm sorry. I was getting confused there. I thought maybe it was Monsters and Meeples.
Oh.
It doesn't matter. Okay, here we go. All right, so this is a game where it's a tower defense game. We each have different meeples that represent fantasy heroes, whether it be clerics, knights. I think there was mages, and you draw these meeples out of a bag. So it's a bag drawing game, and you're building up your bag, and you're trying to defeat these monsters, as you see, that are in different parts of the city, and there are 4 sectors that they could be attacking. You're never going to die as a group. It's pretty much a race game to score the most points before the game ends. And so it's a drafting meeples instead of cards, and you put them in your bag instead of your deck, and then you're using them to defeat the monsters and get points. So you're never going to lose as a group. Some games you play, like Castle Panic, you lose as a group. Everybody loses. So it's not cooperative. It is a competitive tower defense game. So what do you have? What do you have? Why is it your number 48?
Well, I like the art. I think it's the colors are really nice. And yet sometimes the cards can be really hard to read though of what's on there. So that can be a little frustrating. I think the bags are amazing. I love the
high
bags.
quality bags.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
I love the bags. I also found issues with getting confused on trying to figure out the calculations of how to figure out things. It just, poor David, he's doing his own thing and he's having to help me, and it's just, yeah. And it does play longer than I'd like.
Okay. I think we might have some similar things about that when we get to that.
Okay.
Okay, so
You said the same thing for 48, right?
no, 48 is Mountains Out of Molehills for me. A game that we borrowed and do not own.
We don't.
We do not own it. And I don't know
If you want to
what
own
the
it.
conditions would be to own it. It would have to be seriously discounted to consider owning it. So this is a programmable movement game where you have the moles there. You see underneath the molehill. And as they move, they push up dirt above. And if the dirt mounds there get higher, they can knock over, causing a chain reaction. And you score points based on who's on top, which color. So you can see that we each have 4 points because green has 4 and brown has 4. So it's a programmable movement. Now, why is this my number 48?
Why?
Well, so some of the positives are why I wouldn't mind getting it if it was heavily discounted. I'm not going to buy this at full retail. So it's It has some educational merit for programmable movement. You could use it for that.
Okay.
It has decent components. It is easy to teach and plays quickly. However, it can be punishing and discouraging because if you get stuck and your movement doesn't work, or you can block each other, sometimes on purpose or sometimes by accident, you have a bad round. And then there are readability issues. It's very dark on the bottom. You might almost have to shine a light down there. They made the art dark, and when you're playing it, it's just dark because you have something over the top of the playing field. So design-wise, it works. It's just not, because of those issues, it's not something that I would go, yeah, let's play that, let alone deciding to even want to own it at this time.
Okay. I like that.
Okay. What is your
47?
47?
Zombie Kittens.
Zombie Kittens, which we already went over.
Yep.
Let me get it ready here.
Okay.
Takes a little time for your
That's okay.
older computer to load up.
No, it's old.
Okay,
like
so
me.
tell us about Zombie Kittens.
Well, I thought the art is really funny. I love the art. It's just, the characters are it's just really cute. I liked it. I like that it's also not too hard to play either. It's, if you've played Zombie Kittens, I mean,
Exploding Kittens.
yeah. If you say, yeah, then you can do this one. Although I do find at times, like David was explaining earlier, that it does limit the fun because you're not able to do everything you're supposed to be able to do when you only play with 2 players.
Right.
And when you do play with 2 players, it plays, and I like fast games, mind you, it almost plays a little bit too fast.
Well, you're only playing with a third of the deck.
Right, but I do like it though. I'm okay with it.
Okay. All right, so if you want to play a quick version of of Exploding Kittens, you would play this
I'd play
one.
this, yep.
All right, so my 47 is Meeples and Monsters.
Ah.
But it's a little higher ranked than yours.
Only by 1. Mine was 48.
Was it really? I
Yeah.
don't remember.
Meeples versus Monsters?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was 48.
Okay, so we're off by 1. So it's a thinky... I'm sorry, wrong spot. So it's a deck bag, pool building, worker placement game. I forgot to say that it's a worker placement game too. It does have quality components and art. AEG did a great job with that.
Yeah.
But it's tedious and fiddly. And it's because you just can trigger this, trigger this, trigger this, trigger that, and I don't want to think that hard. I like drawing the meeples and using the meeples to defeat monsters. I don't want to worry about reading 2 or 3 different cards and triggering something on the city board to make my meeples stronger just for that round or just for that attack. If it was less fiddly, this game would be in our top 10. That's the problem.
I agree.
And it is a challenging rule book with some referencing issues. It's difficult to reference because there's a lot of iconography. So if you're a gamer, fine, you'll get through it, but you got to invest a lot of time into it, more than I would want to do for the amount of fun. The fiddliness makes it not fun. So this is a game that we'd play again, but when we look at the shelf, we'll be like, do we really want to deal with that right now? And maybe there could be a variant that we can play that would make it more fun and less fiddly. I just have to figure it out.
Well, I think what makes it not so much fun for you either is that you're also having to help me figure out what the heck's going on. That takes away from your fun.
Too.
Yeah, exactly. It's a lot of work.
And it's, like I said, due to the referencing and some lack of examples, you're looking at it and says, how does that work again? You eventually figure it out if you're an experienced gamer. But if you're not an experienced gamer, I'd stay away from this game.
No.
Unless you're playing with somebody
that is experienced.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's your 46?
My 46 is Ticket to Ride Ghost Train.
Okay. Let me get that going.
All right.
Give you something to look at while we're talking here. All right, so tell us about Ghost Train.
All right. Well, I think this would be really fun to play with little people. And I look forward to playing this with future grandchildren someday. I love this. Look at how cute that meeple is. I mean, come on now. Little kids are going to, or train, kids are going to love that. I do agree with David. It's not so much fun playing with as an adult, playing with another adult. It's definitely a kid's game. The theme is cute, but again, I agree with David on the fact that they could have done something more fun with the trick-or-treat part of it all.
Right.
I do agree about that. I think the components are nice, the art is cute, and it, as David also said, it might be better modified, but I did enjoy playing this game. And I love Ticket to Ride, so maybe that's why I enjoyed this, even though it's, for little kids.
Well, we have kids games that we're going to be talking about on our list that we would play as adults. The way this is designed, I will not play.
No, I get
with
you.
the variant that I might. Okay, so my 46
What is
is
that?
Word Heist.
Wow, you liked it more than I did. Well, it makes sense.
Well, I like it because I think it's a good design. For the most part, it is. So it's a party game that favors wordsmiths. That's the reason why it's not lower. Because there are games you'd play like Word on the Street, which is a tug war. We enjoy playing that game. And there's other word games I'd have to think of what they're. Oh, pairs. We'd play pairs or bananagrams.
Oh, yeah.
We'd play those. With this, what happens is you get further in the rounds, you're using those same consonants and vowels. It can be very difficult to come up with new words in the second and third round. I can only imagine when you're playing with more players how much difficult it would be. Because you cannot reuse the words. You cannot use the word that you wrote down, nor the word that someone else used or guessed. So that means you're using up sometimes 4 words per round. And so by the third round, there's possibly 8 words that you could not use with those letters there. And so if you can sit there longer than I would like to, trying to figure out what some word I could use that hasn't been used yet. Now, when you can play with more players, there'll be more vowels and consonants. But I think this game would work better as with more players. And I do like the scoring aspect of it. It's just not something we're going to play as 2 players. As a
we
party,
can't.
And we did try it with our son. He didn't care for it. So it's just one of those games you got to find the right group to play it with.
And didn't this have a timer with it too? And I don't like that aspect.
We did a timer just because of the analysis paralysis part of it.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
All right, so what's your number 45?
45 is Cellulose, a plant cell biology game.
Okay, let me get that going now.
Okay.
And remember, I'm showing these videos, and the links will be below to the full how to play playthroughs or reviews, if they are available. So tell us about, Cellulose. So this is a worker placement, score the most points game after certain conditions are met. So when, I think it's so much water gets into the, I don't want to say the right word, into the cell wall of the plant. I forget what it's called there, if I can see it.
I don't know.
But you have 2 boards there. On the left side is the plant, and in the middle there is the microscopic level of the plant. And you can get cards to score points, and you're working together to grow this plant. But it is competitive because whoever has the most points, by the time there's a row down there in the middle that once that gets filled up, the game ends. So why is this your number 45?
Well, I like the components a lot. I like the green wig on there, by the way. The little Poison Ivy action. Okay. I did find it to be an interesting plant game. It was neat to go back to college again and high school and remembering how biology stuff works. I think the cards and the board have beautiful art. I really love all that.
And this is the Kickstarter version, so the components are higher end than the wood components.
Okay, I did not know that. I did think that this could be too sciencey for some players, and that is including myself. I did like it a lot, but it could be like going back, I said, to school to learn how to do this. And the thing most of all is it made my brain hurt.
Well, yeah, I can see that, and that's why it's ranked so high, because you don't want to. It's only sometimes you got to be in the mood to play it.
Yeah, and I would play it again. It's just I have to. Number one and foremost, I cannot be tired. There's no way.
And that's why it's 45, because there's 44 other games you'd rather play over this. At least the games that we played in 2022. Okay, so my 45 is, we've already talked about it. Do you know what it is?
Meeples Monsters?
I already talked about that,
I did that one.
American Psycho. So I'm a fan of the movie. Okay, I remember quoting lines before it was popular to quote lines.
This is true.
And I owned it before it was popular to, really popular to own it. So I've been a fan of the movie almost since when it came out.
Yeah.
And when they announced that Christian Bale was going to be Batman, I said, he'll be a good choice, because when you watch the movie, Bruce Wayne is basically, what's his name? I just forgot his name in the movie. He's basically American Psycho when he's when he's acting the drunk Bruce Wayne. He's acting like Bateman. Patrick Bateman.
Yes.
So when Bruce Wayne's drunk, he's acting like
Patrick
Bateman.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So some people pick up on that. So here's the thing with the game, though. It's a pasted on theme of the trick taking there is, they try to connect it to it, but for trick taking, I don't. It's just weird. It's a neutral for me on that. It's the game length is a little too long for a trick taking game. I'd rather play Pinochle or Hearts over this.
I don't know how to play Pinochle, but Hearts I would do.
But those games are quicker.
Yes.
It has average screen grabs art. It's sometimes it looks cool, sometimes it doesn't. Its commitment to the IP is mixed. It is an R-rated movie. Well, they should have been more R-rated in the game because can't see anybody under 17 buying this. So they should have committed to the theme of the movie and just went all out and not apologize for it. So that's disappointing. The rule book's inadequate. This is why we did a how to play and playthrough. It's difficult to learn from. The audience, I'm not too sure who it's for because the theme is not quite there. And the mechanics is an abstraction of the movie.
Oh, yeah.
The components are decent, and the board there is annoying. It should have been bigger because you can move those trackers there.
I agree.
So it's just disappointing. It's not terrible, but it's not great. And since we own it, we're going to keep it in our collection. But if it ever gets to a point where we got to lose space, this could end up being sold, especially if they sell out of their print run, it becomes a collectible, and then someone says, hey, you want to sell your American Psycho game, and it's for more than what we bought it, I'd probably sell it.
If they want to pay $1 million for it, I'm happy to give it.
It won't be that much. But it's one of those games that we have, sometimes people contact us and say, hey, you want to sell that game in your collection? And if it's a game we don't play much, say, sure. Especially if it's a collectible at the time. So this might be one of those games, if it does turn into a collectible, that we would say, yeah, we'll get rid of it.
We'll get rid of it?
Right.
I'm okay with that.
But I can see fans of the movie that come over and I say, hey, you want to play this? If they're fans of the movie. If they're not fans of the movie, I won't even bother. In fact, I can't see someone who's not even seen the movie even enjoying the game.
Oh, gosh, no.
So it's a weird publication. I don't know.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing. People who are fans of the movie aren't necessarily gamers. And you got to be a pretty serious gamer to learn how to play this game correctly.
That's a good point.
So I can see this down the road being discounted and never being republished. And then 10, 20 years from now, someone who are big fans of the movie will hunt down this game.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens.
I can see that.
Okay, so what's your number 44?
Well, it's one you've already talked about, and that's Mountain Out of Molehills.
Mountains Out of Molehill.
Yes.
Okay, so tell us about it.
Well, I thought the pieces were really cute. It plays best with 4 players. It really does. I think it's a funny theme. I never thought of this stuff before. The cards can screw you, though, in a 2-player game. But I really like this game. And I agreed with David on the fact that underneath, it's really hard to see. And when we played with our friends, I think we even had to put our flashlights on our phones.
Yeah, you're right. I remember that.
We had the dining room light on and the kitchen light on, and we still had to put a flashlight on our phones to figure out some things. That was the only really negative I could feel. But I just thought the little, what are they called again?
They're moles and the plastic
characters. I don't know.
They're plastic character stands.
Yeah, I just thought they were really cute.
Yeah, they are.
And I think the art on the top is real fun, and the pieces are real nice to handle too.
Although it does remind me of a South Park episode.
Oh.
The one with the Hobbit.
I'd have to see it again.
Yeah,
I don't remember.
It's a nasty episode.
Okay, well, there
those
you go.
who are listening will know what I'm talking about.
And for those like me, it's going, phew.
When I show you, like, oh yeah, I remember now.
Yeah, I will. He'll show me after we're done, and I'll be like, oh yeah.
If we see this discounted heavily, we'd probably buy it. But right now, we don't see a need to.
And that's okay. Yeah, I'm in no. It's not like oh my gosh, I have to have it. I did enjoy playing it.
But we don't own it.
No.
All right, so my 44.
Yeah, what is it? Did we already talk about it?
No, we haven't. It's a new one.
Ooh, I like that.
It is. Now it's a weird rating. It is a Wizard of Oz adventure book game.
Wow.
And we finished it, though. The only reason why I'm rating it this way is because we're not likely to play it again for a while. So we enjoyed it enough to finish it, unlike The Princess Bride. We got frustrated with The Princess Bride adventure book game. They improved their design. They improved the miniatures. It's a solid game. If you love the movie, you will love playing this adventure book game. Now, it is challenging because you have to look at the rules there on the left, and you got to look at the conditions and how you complete tasks on the right to get through each chapter. And you're using your cards there on the bottom to complete those tasks. And it's cooperative. You're working together. So here's the first chapter where you're Dorothy and the farm hands are trying to keep the animals happy, and Dorothy has to go to the guy in the trailer, I forget his name, and then get back to the house before the Twister carries. If she doesn't complete that before the Twister gets to the house, you lose that chapter and then you just restart it. Mm-hmm. But I think there's 6 or 7 chapters. It's solid design, so they improved it compared to The Princess Bride. But the only reason why it's 44 is because we've already played it all the way through. Down the road, we may play it again, especially when we have grandchildren, or if we want to show somebody, hey, you want to play this game, and we'll play it with them.
Wow, that's interesting. You put it so down there.
Well, remember, you're thinking of what games would you rather play. This is 44. So there's 43 other games I'd rather play over the Wizard of Oz game.
Well, I put mine higher up, so maybe I screwed up on that. I don't know.
Well, we'll see. Okay, so what is your 43?
My 43 is Dice Throne Santa versus Krampus.
Okay. So this is using the Dice Throne system, except you have Santa Claus versus Krampus. And it's a 2-player version of it. And you can combine it. You can have Spider-Man versus Santa Claus, or you can have the bounty hunter, for instance, from the season 1. And so it uses the Yahtzee mechanic where you are rolling the dice. You can roll it up to 3 times, and you're using either sets or straights or large or small straights, and you have cards you can play to modify those dice. And it's player versus player. Well, if you lose all your life points, you're out of the game. So it's very much a direct player versus player game. So if you like Yahtzee and games like Magic the Gathering, we're reversing each other, except you're using dice and cards, this might be up your alley. So why did you rate it as 43?
43. Well, it's a competitive 2-player battle game, which, I get. I'm not a big fan of I don't know what you call them, the characters. I prefer the other characters of other games of this
like
kind
the
of...
Marvel one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And it has a Take That, which I'm not a fan of at all. But there are other games that do have Take That I would play over this. And plus the fact I play Santa, and he can't fight back, and I don't like that.
Well, he does fight back. What you mean is that when he defends, he doesn't get to hit back.
Yeah, that's
Krampus. So Santa actually does kind of positive things when he defends, whereas Krampus does more negative things.
Yeah.
But we could always switch off. Play the other one. All right, so that's your Dice Throne is your number 53.
Number 53, yeah.
So 43, sorry.
43, yeah.
So my 43 is CoraQuest, which is it's a dungeon crawl invented by a daughter and father. Let me get to go to the picture here. It's an introductory dungeon crawl. Now, why we like dungeon crawls, but we rather play HeroQuest over this. There's nothing wrong with having this to play with young people you want to introduce to them, introduce dungeon crawls. And it's a lighthearted story, cute art. The art's done by children. It has interesting stories. Maybe I would play with a 5 or 6-year-old. The boys could have handled that. But they also could have handled HeroQuest too.
True.
But our boys were playing Star Wars miniatures when they were 5 and 7.
That's true.
So they were handling more complicated games early on. So if we owned this first, we would have played this with them first. But if we owned HeroQuest, they could have handled HeroQuest too, and HeroQuest is more interesting to play. So as an adult, I don't have an urge to play this. We played the first 2 or 3 quests. I don't have an urge to play it again. Whereas HeroQuest, we're more likely to complete the whole quest book. So the audience is intended for younger people. We're older, and that's I'm not likely to play it again because of that. but not likely to choose it when we have other dungeon crawlers we'd rather play.
Okay.
So that's my 43.
Well, you'll see where I put that later on.
Okay, so what's your 42?
My 42 is Disney Villainous Bigger and Badder.
Villainous, bigger and badder. Mm-hmm. So this includes, now this is part of the series of Ravensburger.
Oh.
And this has, it's not Sinestro, it's, I forget his name from Incredibles.
Yeah. Oh, shoot.
Syndrome.
Syndrome, yes.
And then the teddy bear from Toy Story 3. And it has the Merlin character from the Black Cauldron.
Yeah, the
I
Black
believe.
Cauldron.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like the other Villainous games. You have your deck, and you're trying to complete your objective before the other player does. So it's a race game. It's you have to go to different locations, use actions there, and in the meantime, you can slow down your opponent by playing cards on them. They're playing fate cards from their story. So you see, for instance, with Syndrome, Mr. Incredible has come out and Julie played him on me to try to slow me down. Mm-hmm. So why is this your number 42?
Oh, I think this is a thematic card game. I think it's fun. I like the pictures. What do you call them? Screen grabs? Is that?
Yeah, screen grabs.
They're not pictures. They're screen grabs. I love the screen grabs. I do think new players to this kind of game or younger players might need to team up with an adult, but I think they would totally love this. And the only thing that is my negative is that it does have a take that. And but you need to do the take that, otherwise you're going to lose. But I like.
Well, that's why it's 42, because you're not likely to. You would rather not play a take that game. You got to be in the mood for it.
I have to really be in the mood because it's not my nature to want to. I know that's what I have to do if I want to win. It's just I don't like to have to do that.
Right. So there's nothing wrong with the game. You just rather play something else.
Yeah. No.
Okay, so my 42.
It's the same thing.
No, it's another children's game.
See, my children's games are farther down. You can see whose brain is more childlike, I guess.
Well, I actually rated this game a 9.
Wow, and you put it way down here?
Well, because it's something that you would play with children. Actually, I rated it an 8, which is enjoy playing and would suggest it. So in this game, it's a push your luck race game. You're trying. It's Scrooge.
What's it called again?
Disney's Mickey's Christmas Carol.
That's right.
And you're putting together these puzzle pieces, and you got to do them in order. Otherwise, Scrooge moves further on the clock, and if he wakes up at 9 a.m., you lose. So it's cooperative, and you see there we're trying to complete the first puzzle there on the left, that purple one, and then you want to do the yellow one next, and then the blue one and the red one. It's a solid game, quality components. It has visual, spatial elements. We look forward to playing this with children, and we would play this as adults, maybe at some point when we just want to play something light. But it's a 42 because there's other games I'd rather play because it is such a children's game. But it's a solid children's game, and I recommend anybody with young children owning this.
I like children's games. So, again, my children's games are going to be probably higher up than David's.
Well, you'll see that there's a children's game that I have on the list that's really low because it's a children's game that I will play as an adult regardless of if there's a child playing or not.
Ah, okay.
So what is your number 41?
My 41 is Namiji. I don't know if I'm saying that right.
You said it right, Namiji.
Okay, Namiji.
So Namiji is a race to score the most points. Mm-hmm. It's similar to Kaido. I believe that's the one. I'm confusing with Takaniko or Takanako with the panda. Takedo is the one where you're traveling across the countryside in Japan. Here, you're using boats. It has a set collection aspect of it. And you're going from places to places, getting things you need to score points. So, and it has a hand management aspect of it because you can get cards, as you see me holding up there, that will score more points towards the end of the game if you hold on to those. So that would score 4 points if you complete the conditions on that card. And it has awesome pieces because it's the Kickstarter version. So why did you rate this a 41?
Well, I think the art is just beautiful. I love the colors. I love the colors of the cards. I just love that it's very easy to learn and play. That's a big thing on my end. The boats are super cute. The only thing, again, that I have to complain about is it has some of that take that, because you are racing to get.
Yeah, you can deny people things by blocking stuff. That's true.
And I know, again, that's part of the game. It's just not. But I do enjoy this very much, and I'd be happy to play this, again with David, as long as he's not nice. As long as he's not nice. I mean, as long as he's nice to me.
Well, it is a competitive game. If it was a cooperative version, you'd probably be lower on your list.
Yes.
Okay, so my 41 is Minecraft Heroes of the Village. Now, I had rated that a 7.5, and now it's a 6, because I haven't, and that means I have to be in the mood to want to play it.
Okay.
There's other games I'd rather play. It is a solid game design.
Yeah.
And what you're doing is you're trying to build up certain structures in your village as the mob is coming down there on the right. You see on that track on the right as it comes down. And so it's a cooperative. That's a positive thing. The wood pieces are solid. The other pieces are average. It's just that it's a little too easy for me to want to play again. We played the hardest setting and it's still easy to win. So I think maybe they came out with an expansion or added more to it. We're likely to play it again, but as it is now, I don't have the urge to play it again because it's too easy.
I like easy games.
Right, but you haven't wanted to play it again.
No, but I do have it higher up on my list.
Oh, that's fine. You can. So that's all. It's solid. I know people who are into Minecraft have enjoyed it. And it has. You see the draw bag there. So there's a couple neutrals. It could be tricky to play correctly because it needs reference cards. It could be repetitive. Is there really enough game there is what I pointed out. I think that if they had an expansion where it adds more to it, it would get more plays out of us. Otherwise, it may be sitting there on the shelf for a long time and other games will get played over it as it stands right now. That's why it's 41.
Okay.
So that is our 50 to 41 of our top games of 2022. And we also talked about 3 that we played that didn't make our list, which means we're probably not likely to play them again and may go in our sell pile. So hopefully you enjoyed this video and you'll check out our 39
No.
40.
40.
Yeah, 40 to 31.
I'm like looking like, no.
You can see how often we do this.
This is our first time ever doing this, so we really appreciate you guys hanging there with us and hope you like this.
Well, first time doing it like this. We did have a couple of top 10s like 3 years ago.
Oh, I don't even remember.
We did one on the games that we want to play again and games that we don't want to play again. But to this detail, no, we have never done it like this before.
Now, I'm not going to lie. This has been a struggle for me to try and figure out how to rank these things. So I know you'll probably be like, really? You're going to play that, but you won't play this? Again, it's the way my brain thinks. So,
But we're probably going to have some overlap when we get into our top 20.
I think so.
So here we go.
Say goodbye.
Say goodbye. Please check out we'll be posting the next 4 soon enough after this one.
Yep, and don't forget, David is going to post the link so you can check out the how to plays and playthroughs and reviews if you want more detail about the games we're talking about.
All right, thank you.
Thanks so much, you guys. We'll see you in the next video.
Right, bye-bye.
Bye.